good morning, or good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the Oracle Light Tarot. I'm so glad you guys are here and that you clicked on this video and that you found my channel. I was sitting outside drinking my coffee. I wanted to warm up in the sun because it's cold. So I sat there facing the west. Hold on a second. Looking for the sun, trying to feel the sun. And I say looking for the sun because there were a few clouds up and like a pinkish color coming from behind them. I knew the sun was there. I was looking for the sun. To warm me up this morning and to I guess commune with the sun because sometimes I like to do that, especially in the summer evenings before the sun goes down. I would sit out on my swing and absorb the sun's energy. But it is winter and it's cold. This morning I have not been outside as much, so maybe you're thinking about getting outside. But the sun's energy is very powerful nonetheless, even though I couldn't see the sun behind the clouds. So there's something about that. This song coming up right now. Lonely, I'm so lonely, I got nobody to call my own. Lonely. Something like that. Maybe you're feeling lonely. What is this? This one's sticking out to me. Limitless. You're not lonely. You're limitless. Limitless. I'm just going to stir these up for you on camera. Maybe we can pull on camera. Right here like this. Maybe. I don't know. Why not? Right? Why not? Maybe I just need to adjust my camera a little bit so I can not bump it. Maybe. Well, maybe it's just because it's attached to the table. I feel like yesterday's reading when it got very quiet. And I had to be like that heron with one foot in. Not to disturb. If you see any words that stick out to you, catch your attention, just know that those words are for you. Pull some words down. Everything is falling into place. That one's sticking out to me right here. Everything is falling into place. It is. Okay. Just as it should. It's always perfect, right? And just know that. You know, I think when we look at our outer reality and we see things that are missing, or maybe we don't see what we want to see, we still need to remember that. There's something about this sticking out too. Zoom out. Because we're becoming very focused on that. And Spirit wants to remind you. So maybe you've zoomed in too close. Spirit says you're paying too much attention to the details. There's a bigger picture here. And I think that the bigger picture is that, well, I'm seeing the number 6 also right now. The bigger picture is that it's perfect. Everything is where it should be. to use it as your feedback of where you are, right? You don't have to revel in it. You don't have to zoom in and concentrate on every little detail, Spirit's saying. Zoom out, right? We have this one. I can do anything. What's this one? Valuable. There's valuable information in that energy of zooming out. That was good. Okay, I'm just gonna grab, like, let's just grab, should we grab a mighty chunk? Why am I saying it like that? A mighty chunk. Yeah, a mighty chunk. Or should we just, yeah, I think I am. I feel like I'm shaking the clue on. It's probably very loud on camera when I stir this up. Free will. Yes. Right? We always have free will to choose what we want to observe. We have brother. I found money. Something feels like somebody looking for their brother, honestly, right there. Okay, zoom out. Zoom out. Maybe I'll just start saying that. Zoom out. All knowing. If you're looking for something, right? The sun. Oh. Someone's brother, someone's son. So somebody could be looking for somebody. A wild horse. A wild stallion. Okay, we have ego. Zoom out. Let's zoom out. Zoom out. Brother, daughter. Interesting. Do we have daughter again? Wow, how many times did I write this word? Brother, daughter. Okay. Lonely, I'm so lonely. Foods. Be free. The brother and daughter thing are also coming off as like labels that we have. I'm, like somebody saying like, I'm nobody, I'm just somebody's daughter or somebody's brother. Don't pretend. I'm sorry. Nothing can stop me now. Not so lonely. Got nobody. The sun. Wasn't I talking about the sun today, guys? Yeah. The sun. Maybe as in son. We have brother, daughter, son. Could be like son, somebody's son. My sunshine. Somebody could be saying that. Hold on, I gotta turn the HVAC off. Sorry about that. I went upstairs. There's something about citrus oranges and vitamin C something like that. Don't forget to take your vitamins, I guess. That song though, lonely, I'm so lonely. Like somebody literally could be searching for a son. Proof. Okay, now you see me. Now you see me. Magic. That movie, Now You See Me. No boundaries. Magic has no boundaries. I don't know if somebody came here for information on their somebody. Goonies never say. Yeah. Feels like not giving up. Fall in love. Fall, it just kind of feels like it's coming off as like fall into love. Fall into love. Yeah, you're the designer. You're the designer. Remember, you're the designer and the creator, the experiencer. Yeah. Positivity, yes. You can choose positivity. Oh, lime in the coconut. I thought it said live in the coconut. A lime in the coconut and drink it all up. Put the lime in the coconut and drink it all up. Through your awareness of it, that's why it exists. It's practical magic, right? Like the movie, the lime in the coconut. Through your awareness of it, that's why it exists. That's why magic exists. That's why you exist. That's why they exist. That's why. Number 9. Number 9. Like there's like resilience here. This feels like inner strength. It could be some anguish. But there could be fruits. We did have the oranges. Fruits of your labor. Something about basking in the sun. Could be wishes fulfilled and satisfaction. So like I feel like someone's here to change their energy, or you're learning to change your energy. Sing, yeah, sing a different song. Okay, we're not gonna sing that song anymore. Put the lime in the coconut. Woo woo. What's that? Take a closer look. Sing a different song and then take a closer look, right? It was that zooming out. So Spirit's saying whenever you're in that song, you know, like how I was singing the lonely song, right? Whenever you're feeling lonely, just remember you always have free will. You can sing another song. You can zoom out when things become too you know, I don't want to say the word too, we'll just use the word real. You know, you're examining certain energies a little too closely, Spirit says. Zoom out. Regain. It's like that Google Maps thing that kept coming up the other day in my other reading. Zoom out, right? Sing another song and then zoom back in. And then play around, right? When you're feeling better. Don't go messing. There's something about when you are in a certain mood to tread very carefully. It's like that Heron card from the Wild Mystic. Here, we should pull some of these. The Heron card from the Wild Mystic. Where he had one, I gotta show you. Let's see if we can find it. He had one foot in the water. Looked like a window too. He had one foot in the water, and it was like he's being very careful because he was fishing. You know, kind of like what we're doing. We're fishing to experience a better life. These are from the other day. I never shuffled them. But the Heron, it's a stillness card. And you got it. Well, somebody got it in reverse yesterday. If you're here from yesterday's reading. And see how he has one foot in that water? And it's as if he's like, even like his head is kind of up, as if he's like just standing very still before he, and he's very careful before he takes another step. It's like he doesn't want to disturb the water. The water could represent like emotions, so be very, very careful. And then also, because we had it was like staying balanced and centered, right? Which this is like our upright. This would be like the sun shining upon us, and that the brighter room, you know, where things are just light and bright. And then versus if we allowed ourselves to focus too much on things that were not, I don't know, not, you know, that we don't want to experience, and then it kind of flips us right into that world, and then that's our reality, right? Can we see this card? Let's put them over here as a reminder. So something like that. Okay, so yeah, alarm bells. When you receive those alarm bells, I was talking about the alarm in my dream, and I think I'm being recalled to talk about it again. So the world is always expressing to us and showing us where we are, okay? And we do get alarm bells sometimes and warnings, you know. It could be literal alarm bells, like my story I was telling you the other day with that reading. My alarm had gone off in the middle of the night, okay, and it was very jarring and unsettling, actually. Maybe that could have actually, because of that happening, but there's no coincidences, okay, so. But I was kind of jarred awake right to the sound of the fire alarm, smoke detector, and which scared me and my husband. And it's also very eerie to hear your alarm going off in the middle of the night and there's no fire, right? So you're like, what? And it's kind of unsettling. And none of the other alarms are going off, just this one where the hallway stairs actually area. And so we thought, oh, it's probably just the batteries. We'll change the batteries tomorrow, whatever. We took it down. We went to bed because we had fanned it and messed with it, and it just kept going off, right? And then anyway, so we took it down. So it wasn't going on. We went to bed. The next day, we're talking about it next to, maybe the talking about it could have brought more of it about. I don't know, because we were talking about it, and he was sitting on the couch. He was sitting on the couch. I was facing, he was facing the TV. I was facing him. I was next to the TV, but I couldn't see the TV. There was this, he was actually at that moment we were talking about it, watching a movie about these firemen. And they were also talking about smoke and all that. And looked at my husband, because we were actually talking about the fire alarm last night and how weird it was, and we should just change the batteries, or I think we did change the batteries, but it continued to go off. Okay. Or no, did we? Yeah, well, it went off again, but not at that moment. We changed the batteries. We put it back up. Pretty sure that's what happened. Anyway, I'm trying to get the details of the story, but I remember saying to my husband, "Don't you see that?" And he was oblivious to it. How I could see the alarm bells going off, that there was something bigger going on. And that, yeah, like the environment or our reality was trying to tell us something, right? So then the more I focused on it, obviously more developed. Well, later that night, I was asleep, right? The alarm went off again the very next night, and it was like, what the heck? And then actually it seemed like it was going off for no reason again. And then I think that's when we took it down. We're like, we're just gonna have to get another one. But and then I was sitting at the bed, drinking my coffee, scrolling Facebook, and there was a community page. I happened to see that there was an actual fire in our neighborhood the second night, right? Around the same time. That alarm had gone off again, and the night before it had gone off for no reason. And it was like a major fire, and it was down in our neighborhood, like a couple streets away. And I thought, oh my God, maybe, it was like just trying to figure, this is the idea of, not the idea, but the fact that we were sitting there talking about it and trying to figure it out. I don't know, like, it just showed more in my reality of what I was focused on, right? I'm not saying that it caused that or anything, but it was just, there's alarm bells. There's things that you notice, okay, that others don't notice in your reality. But I think this comes with like a warning also, okay? Like, you don't have to think, maybe you're thinking about certain people or certain things. It comes from our ego. You get to choose. That's the best part about this. You have free will. You get to choose, I've been there, done that. I've learned, okay, I've walked my darkest times, and not realizing what gifts we have, what a gift it is to that we really do have free will. We are Spirit's daughters, Spirit's sons, Spirit's brothers, Spirit's sisters, we're everything, right? And Spirit is everything to us, right? And this is making me think of too, like the sun's energy is very strong right now. Sorry. Okay, sorry for the background noise. Somebody was waking up. What was I talking about? The sun's energy being very strong last night. And before I went to bed, there was this guy I usually watch. He's always talking about like solar flares and solar energy. And he is quite spiritual, and he's very scientific. But he talks about, hold on a second. It was talking about like earthquakes and stuff like that. And there were things that were like, I want to say like falling in line with like the collective energy that was happening. Okay. And depending on how I viewed that or decided to zoom in, in my reality on certain energies, okay? Because we could get very, you know, as readers and psychics, we could get very prophetic. Like, I think the most absolute important, I'm seeing a horse. Didn't we something about a horse? A wild horse. It's like, it's right here in my, there's a star too. I'm gonna pull these for you guys. Something about wolves too. Wolves, dreams, dogs. But there's a star and the protection. I'm pulling the star because that movie Practical Magic was coming up, but something about the protection. And that girl, when she wrote things about, I feel like I kind of got off track here. Choose what you want to be prophetically correct about. Okay? Choose love. We have the ability to choose. Why would we choose certain things, right? And I feel like not everybody is there. Obviously, we, you know, because there's a part of this of a journey, you know, that it seems to be like a journey. Maybe it just seems to be a journey because that's the way I see it, right? And it might not be that for everybody. But to me, it just seems to be there's like this journey of walking the shadow. And it was that journey where you learned. Because when you walk the light, or you create while you're in the light, right? When you're trying to create more positive things for yourself, because light casts shadows. So you're able to recognize, which comes off like the alarm bells, you're able to recognize like certain energies that still come up within you. And I feel like I'm not trying to say that everything will always be like butterflies and rainbows. There's always going to be shadows cast, right? But it's like not letting it become like this wild horse, right? Not letting your ego become this wild horse. Be all knowing that you are protected. The star represents protection, okay? Just know that you are. We have dignity. Do we have room on the bottom? Yes, we do. Your smell. Your smell. We'll come back to that bond. Bonding your smell. You can bond yourself to certain, I don't know why this is coming off for somebody. So like if you're praying for somebody, okay, maybe they have a certain scent, you know, like a grandfather's scent, or, you know, maybe your husband's scent, or, you know, like the scent of a rose. There's something about like very quantum. I've heard people say like the rose is quantum, but like there's something about that, like being able to, when you're looking to create something or to see someone or something in your reality, because this is thinking of you tonight, okay? Foods. You could smell it, you could taste it, you could, it's like, yeah, descriptive. It's a way to bond yourself with that energy to you, because you are actually experiencing it. So it's like a bond, okay? Where it kind of brings it into your reality. So maybe practice with, maybe that's good practice, to practice with food. Maybe practice bringing oranges to you in your reality. You know, so you suddenly start feeling the squishiness of an orange, seeing yourself cutting the orange and tasting the orange and smelling the orange, and then suddenly you're going to, I see a lemon right now on a bag. It's a bag here, but you'll start seeing citrus, I guess. I don't know, but like I know how it works, and that's why you guys are here. That's why you found my channel. Comfort. But you'll start seeing oranges will pop up everywhere. Yeah, and then we have cleanse. Comfort and cleanse. Yeah, there's something about, I think I was talking about a blanket yesterday. I feel like your guys' energy attracts you give like, there's like a comforting energy here. I almost thought I saw the word value, but like there's a value in this energy for somebody. Yeah, there's curiousness to it, right? Could be in return. Yeah, so Spirit's saying like return to curiousness, right? Be curious, get a clearer vision on what it is. And the cleansing too could be, I feel like we need to be over here. The cleansing could be, you know, that clearer vision is what cleanses the palette. It's coming off as like palette. Right? They cleanse the palate, like when people are testing the food. Maybe you've been testing, you know, the waters, so to speak, right? Or the waters here. So there's something about cleansing the palate or making a blank slate. Yeah, for your treasure. With treasure here. What would that treasure feel like, smell like? How does it make you feel? Yeah, oh, maybe not. Maybe be objective to the feeling. I feel like, thank you, Spirit. Okay, so the objectiveness comes from maybe not dive into the feeling, how you feel, okay? Maybe it's more of like your focus on it, like the treasure X marks the spot. It's like putting you in, it's your focus. So maybe the focus objectively, I feel like that's where what the stillness is. You know, when you're trying to meditate, it's never really quiet, right? There's always things coming up. It could be little alarm bells coming up, so it's just showing you what's happening. What your light is casting shadow upon. Okay, so there's no need to worry about that. They're just energies that are still around, so you can learn to view them objectively as such. Like, you know, when you see a shadow, you're like, okay, there's the shadow, and then move on. That's still there, okay. Move on objectively. Don't go in closer and stare at it or try to work it out, or you know, that kind of thing, right? So there's something about staying objective, but the treasure comes off as like X marks the spot on the map. It's giving yesterday's reading also. So, and I was using these foil tarot, but there's always these two cards here at the first that just, I don't know why they're in there. They're not tarot cards. They're just, I don't know, like, what is it? An introduction card? Oh, look at him. He's the child and the birds. There was something coming through yesterday about someone who receives messages through nature, like birds. They're very connected to birds. But this card was standing out to me yesterday about it was about tarot. It says, what we see in the symbology of tarot derives in large measure from our own intuition. Once revealed, reflects back upon each of us to further enrich our lives. So, for one, that's why it's very important that you take what resonates only with you. Okay, because you are the creator and the chooser of your world, right? What you want to experience. And Spirit doesn't want you to ever forget that. But there was a part in that reading where I was talking about her and how maybe you're like her and you're like me also, where you listen to your intuition and you're like, this is where that learning comes about. About listening to like your intuition, right? But sometimes we're just listening to alarm bells. I think that's what Spirit's trying to point out. Sometimes we're listening to alarm bells and we're like, oh my God, there's something to that. There's a bigger, we delve into some kind of rabbit hole, into like some shadowy aspect. It's like a shadow presents itself, right? This cast shadow. And then it's like we're casting the shadow actually, right? Because we are the light, right? We are the sun, we are the future, do 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 do, something like that. It's coming, some song coming through. But so she's out here following her intuition, okay? And she has, so it's, and I give an example. I'm like, so some people may look at her like, why is she out here? Why is she's just trusting her instincts, and she's like, okay, I came out to the middle of the lake here, and it's cold, it's dark. Why did you bring me out here? It's like, oh, so she was following these alarm bells, okay? So it goes both ways. It goes both ways. We can follow our intuition the same way we follow like these alarm bells, which lead us like, because we focus on them, it doesn't really lead us anywhere good, right? I feel like you could change this anytime also, but like some kind of curiousness, okay? So we can talk about it objectively, right? It could be objective. It doesn't have to be alarm bells. It could be anything. So, but like you're following your instinct, okay? So you're following instinctively following. If you're instinctively following, maybe you're not being so objective. What are we saying, Spirit? There was you chose to follow something. It's like that white rabbit, right? So depending on what it is, but your instincts are telling you something. You chose to follow it. You're out there and you're like, okay, Spirit, I'm out here. And that, it's like something's just more starts bubbling to the surface, right? And Spirit called you out there actually because from where she stands, she can see something new now. Or she sees more of what she was curious about, right? More of what she was curious about is going to pop up around in her reality. So it's more like I feel like it's more beneficial to be objective about this because you can choose. Okay, you can choose to find treasure, or you could choose to find I don't know. Like it's like the Goonies, and it says Goonies never say, and they found treasure, right? They found treasure. But they also found they went through this crazy adventure down there, right? To find the treasure. But I feel like Spirit's saying like it didn't have to be so hard for some reason. But I also do feel like sometimes I don't know. The lime and the coconut. You know, where was the point where... What point was it? Well, I mean, they weren't in the best mood. They were pretty sad. They were sad. I think there's sadness about losing their home at that time with the, you know, developers that were going to buy their home, right? So they were already sad, but I think they were also, like, as being children and very curious. They were like very, and they found that treasure map. So this is like your treasure map. This is so interesting. And then we're already at 40 minutes. And I know not everybody listens to the end of my videos. I know this because they never leave me an emoji. I'm always asking at the end of my long videos, can you leave me an emoji? Because it feels like we always get to the good part towards the end. You know, it's like that journey, you know. And I think it becomes a journey too, because I'm picking up on your guys' energy and where you are. Like, you know, like that song, Lonely. And just start singing that song, right? I could feel like certain people's, I could feel it. And as you guys, I just want to say, like, if you think you're not psychic, if you think you're not intuitive, like, you are. Okay? You are. You are psychic. You are intuitive too. It's just basically describing a person who's very in touch with their emotions and other people's emotions. They're just very in tune with, we're able to take like that, dive in and take that closer look, right? Which isn't always good to do because that's a video for another day. There's no point in that right now. Because you're on a mission, I feel like, towards your treasure, and this is your treasure map, and Spirit wants you to know that's through your awareness of it. That's why it exists. So if you think there's a treasure out for you, there is a treasure out there for you to find. You know, you need to focus on the treasure part. Okay, focus on the treasure part. Be aware of what you're looking. Yeah, like it says, now you see me, right? What proof, what feedback, you know, are you getting alarm bells or are you getting proof? Like, what kind of proof and feedback are you receiving? Be careful not to let your ego run wild, okay? Just stay objective and be like all-knowing. Like, I know that my light casts shadows, and I know that there's shadows that show up sometimes. And not as in like shadow people, maybe for you there is, but just know that that's you creating that, okay? Sometimes you ever heard of, you know, that saying, your imagination running wild? It's like that, okay, but it's real. Like, it creates real things in our reality. Right? There's something about football here. There's something about genders here also. You can create very magnificent, beautiful things in your world. So why not focus on, you know, falling in love with those things? Focus on positivity, because, and I know some people are like, oh, positivity, yuck, you know, they're really silly, but fine. You know, your love, like, fall in love with creating. You're the designer, right, of how you want your world to be. If you focus on, oh, yuck, and you're in that energy, you're just going to get more, oh, yeah. You know, you're going to draw more of those things that you don't like, right? So you need to focus on what you love, fall in love, and then take a closer look. And if you're seeing things you don't like and you see the alarm bells and the shadows, zoom out. Find your stillness, okay, before you take another step. Okay, before you take another step. Don't disturb the waters, which are like your emotions, okay? Because certain things will bubble up to the surface, right? And you might not, and those, if it's bubbling up to the surface, it's like it must be something from deep down. Oh gosh. I also don't want to go into it, but there's like these certain fish that come to the surface every so many years before like major earthquakes. And that guy was watching the other night about the sun, he was talking about a fish, and there was like a sighting somewhere, I don't know. Just be careful. Okay, guys, like what you focus on. There are many realities to experience, so you don't need to be scared about what maybe like other readers or other people are telling you. Think about how magical it is just to know that all we ever have is right now. Think about that. Really, really sit and think about that maybe when you're meditating later. Like all we ever have and all we ever experience is this now moment. This now moment. And time never exists unless we focus on the time, right? Then it kind of brings up all these memories or experience of how fast time went or how slow time went, right? But if you really sit with yourself, you'll realize that all we ever have is right now. So not to worry, it's your next move. That's all you have to know. I wanted to say that's all you have to worry about, but like you don't have to worry about that. It gets easier. Choose, okay? Choose. And now that another thing, now that you know that you can create anything that you want to experience, because you can create anything you want to experience, what is it that you're going to create for yourself, right? Okay. All right. I will let you guys go with that. This was such a good reading, and whoever you are, your energy just feels so good, and I just wish the best for you guys. I hope you choose to come back again. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.